Welcome back. I can't do that. Today we're going to be covering a very philosophical, deep subject with regards to religion, so with an open mind, of course. So if we are going to be covering the deep philosophical subject of religion or some aspect of it, we're going to need something to eat, because this one could be long. I just don't know at the moment. Take it away, sandwich wench.
Hello, Lord Omegon. We here at the Sea Knight's Craft wish to offer you a sandwich.
There's 3 of you. But I like but.
We're going to highlight your individual talents by each making you a different sandwich.
Oh, really? You're going to make me 3 sandwiches. This is good. This is great. Because with religion, the subject of religion, you need a lot to sustain yourself. So whoever's first, get to it.
First, a fine bread for a noble lord such as yourself.
For the sake of the sandwiches presented in this video, I'm going to cut them up and use them different parts of the video. And I know some of you are going to be like, oh my god, you're wasting time, you're putting sandwich videos in, cringe, triggered. I don't care. They're my sandwiches. In my video. Deal with it, you triggered butthurt fag.
I will be making you a real manly sandwich of roast beef, bacon, and because my lord is allergic to mustard, I will instead use barbecue sauce.
Delicious, and I can hardly wait to see the 2 remaining offerings that you have for me. We will of course play those later. Now, as we've taken quite a lot of time already, let's just dive right into this video.
Alright.
You know, most people start videos with some kind of greeting. You started with a very loud introduction, which I cut out, and then went with, alright. If I knew I could have gotten away with it, I would have opened every video with, alright, governor.
So the big, yet irrelevant and pointless question...
Is poisoning the well gay? We all know the answer is yes. Deep down, the answer is yes. We all know it. We all know. So Fane, Fat Pat, just admit it. And buttfuck already.
Does God exist?
Well, this is easy. No. Wait. No. Oi. Okay. The subtle, nuanced answer, surely blah 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 blah. That's right.
And I find this question to be somewhat hypocritical. Because disproving the existence of God comes from the same logic as disproving the existence of man.
While I take some issue with you putting air quotes around disproving of the existence of God, but not around the existence of man, I am more interested in seeing you prove the existence of God. Because surely disproving the existence of man doesn't prove the existence of God.
Now, if someone came to you and tried to convince you that they don't exist, they said, I'm actually on Mars, and I have these Martians that have plugged me into the Matrix, or they have these probes in my head, and they're making me think all of these crazy things. What do you think of this guy?
Excluding the fact that if they don't exist, or they tell me they don't exist, and they come to me as if I do exist, assuming that I exist at all, which I think is incredibly discriminatory and assumptive, they do come across as someone I would love to go and get a drink with. In fact, I would assume there's someone, because assumption is of course a fantastic choice, I would assume there's someone like this. Love you so, Fane.
You think this guy's completely lost it? This guy needs to seek some medical help. He needs to go to the loony bin, whatever it may be.
While you have yet to actually disprove or prove logic or disprove logic, whatever it is you're trying to achieve, I think you got this wrong. I think what you should really do is get that person, ask them what their favourite drink is, alcoholic beverage drink that is, and then you pour them drinks until you reach that equilibrium where the insanity just flows, you put pen and paper in front of them, and you keep going and you keep balancing them, making sure the insanity keeps going. And when they finish, and when they sober up, you pick up what they've written and realise they just wrote Harry Potter and the Half-Blood Prince.
So why don't we think the same way when someone questions the existence of God?
Well, we can prove the insanity levels within the person who thinks they're jacked into the Matrix on Mars. A simple 72-hour psychological evaluation should help. I would also like to add, you presume that people don't already think that someone that believes in God isn't already insane, but also, Just because we think someone's insane doesn't mean that means it translates or is mutually exclusive to someone who believes in a god. What people believe is entirely up to them. When they are asked about it and they can't prove it, then, well, we can either dismiss it or just insult them. It's pretty easy.
Now, people attempt to prove their own existence by something called empiricism. And that is by the belief that senses are like an absolute truth. So if you can see it, you can hear it, touch it, smell it, hear it, all of these sort of things, taste it, it exists.
I'll pretend you didn't say hear it twice. Now, empiricism is a theory, but I'm not going to get caught up on that. Instead, I'm going to say that empiricism has its uses. For example, some scientific theories have origins in empiricism. But when that is put next to rationalism, not the trademark kind from that chubby, arrogant douche, we realize that empiricism has some large faults. For example, the mind can easily be manipulated into believing things based on introducing smells, sounds, visuals, and tastes. A good example of tricking the mind would be a placebo.
So they say, I can see, I can hear, therefore I exist.
Regardless of thought process that went into obtaining the result, they are still right. That said, it's a short statement for someone to make, so it can easily be used to make them appear like they're not all that bright.
But what about your dreams?
Dreaming during REM is a subject that still gets debated today by the scientific community, so I can't really say much on it past them being random, and that some faiths consider them to be where lessons can be learned, and dreams are one of the 3 states of the soul. Yeah, I know some Hindu stuff. Who'd have believed it?
I mean, in a dream, can't you see, hear, sometimes taste?
Yup.
Or what about when someone's in the desert and they have a hallucination? If they're incredibly thirsty and it's very, very hot, they begin to see these streams of water. Does the water actually exist? Did the dream actually take place?
Hallucinations brought on by a mind that is suffering from fatigue and dehydration, so it conjures up a mirage as a way of instilling hope to the person that is suffering, kind of how I used to think people believed in a god.
Obviously not.
I'm so glad that we agree on this particular nonsense.
We don't need to sit there questioning it.
Respectfully disagree. Understanding why the brain creates dreams is something worth understanding.
So if you're going to attempt to prove your existence by empiricism, by the senses, then you have to either now say that the dreams or that the hallucinations actually took place and was actually existent, or that dreams didn't actually take place and the hallucination wasn't actually existent, the water that is, and so therefore you can't be using senses to prove your existence.
Nope. Empiricism does prove we exist. Now, I'm going to avoid the philosophical areas of discussion for the time being, as they have no use to me at the moment, and we can then support the claim of our existence by introducing the scientific method to prove the claim of our existence. Of course, if we don't exist because philosophy says we don't exist, then are those particular people who are going to say that going to agree that science proves we exist? I hate philosophy.
Because you'd find yourself contradicting yourself.
Well, if you aren't contradicting yourself, you'd probably just find yourself blurring the lines between a REM state and an awake state and make a bull hockey argument to justify the existence of some malevolent prick.
Now, there's many philosophers who have spent, for the most part, the majority of their lives attempting to prove the existence of man. And for the most part, they cannot do so.
Don't say it, Meg. Don't say it. Philosophy is a perpetual state of pondering and a total waste of money for a degree. I feel so much better.
In fact, the most logical answer that they've come towards proving the existence of man is the quote by René Descartes in his book, The Meditations, where he says, I think, therefore I am.
I'll be honest, it doesn't really matter what he thinks. What truly matters is that we can prove the existence of our species. See what I did there? I've removed the gender because it is irrelevant. Now we can prove it through the scientific method, like earlier mentioned. Now I know you can simply swat that like a bug and claim that we don't exist, and you are free to do so. Much like I am free to tell you that believing in a god that was cool with having a pedo prophet really makes your god look like he's even more of a prick.
Now let me tell you the contradiction in this statement. If you know anything about the world of mathematics and proof by induction, attempting to prove something, for example the existence in this case, it's a complete no-no to begin with an assumption that you already exist.
I love how you're cool to use science when it suits you. Now, to address your statement claiming contradiction, the bloke who made the claim can easily be postulating. It is up to him or someone else to prove or disprove his claim. Now, I'm going to embellish on this. Yeah, that could be fun. but let's get the second sandwich out of the way first.
I'm going to be making you a more ladylike sandwich of cucumber and cream cheese.
Nice.
And now the cucumbers.
So cogito ergo sum, by all means criticise the use of a soft G in the pronunciation, I just don't care, is actually something first known to have been said, kinda, by Plato, or was it Aristotle? Screw it, I hate philosophy anyway. It is used as an argument after Descartes concludes that the proposition I am, I exist is necessarily true whenever it is put forward by the person saying it or conceived in their mind. I just want to restate how much I despise philosophy, especially when deceiving God crops up. To me it's maddening when I go into reading all of it knowing a God doesn't exist, to then see God crop up as part of the thought process. Also, I find it fascinating that there are so many different types of philosopher that debate this. That is more interesting to me than the statement itself. For example, skeptic philosopher. That's cute. There's no trademark over skeptic.
I'll tell you what I mean.
Please do. My head hurts.
I think, therefore I am. You've begun the statement with I. I assumes existence.
Totes. It also refers to someone speaking about themselves. They're such a narcissist.
So you cannot prove existence whilst also assuming that you exist. It's contradictory.
But Descartes never assumed it. He concluded it. Your argument to me is diminished because of this.
Now, does that mean that we don't exist? Does that mean that you, your mother, father, brother, sister, don't exist? Of course not. Of course you exist. I exist. We exist. But we don't need to spend any time into these completely trivial matters, because it's not logical to do so. It's self-evident that me and you and him and her, they exist.
I have to disagree with what you regard to be trivial. There is something to be gained from thinking, from studying, from hypothesizing our existence and the mind. It helps us to better understand our brain, prove theories like evolution, and search for cures to ailments that some believe God created to test us.
You don't need to spend any time in that point.
I am taking you off my Christmas card list. I like to learn. Hell, I was willing to read some meditation crud for this.
Now, you probably didn't even question your own existence until this video. And if you did beforehand, you probably just would have tried to just get rid of it like that. Just thought it's a stupid thought.
I think I was 7 and ended up crying when I realised my existence would one day end. Thankfully, the entire human race would die long before me. You're welcome, by the way. 2020, everyone. Cthulhu. No lives matter.
And the reason for that is because it's illogical. And the same thing would have happened for the existence of God if you didn't get affected by this disease of atheism.
I've said this many times. I was raised neither knowing atheism or religion, so I never got infected with either. I do wonder, why is it wrong to question our existence or the existence of something? We do it for all manner of things, and we do it to learn and improve. So wanting to challenge what we are or were conditioned to believe as true is good if the end result is confirming or disproving what we have been led to be true.
And so why don't you question your own existence?
Because I am far too busy eating sandwiches and depressing women's. My father is a god, you know, and he'd mess your god right up.
And why do you question the existence of God?
We're back to empiricism and proving through senses. In truth, I can't prove your God doesn't exist without using empiricism and science to reach a conclusion that the only way a God can exist is if he breaks all the laws we have created regarding reality. That said, would I bend knee to your God if he presented himself to me? No. I'd kick him in the balls and tell him he needed to answer for his crimes to the entire human race. Unlike yours, my father has made no secret of wanting to cause suffering and end humanity. This is the most thought-provoking part of your video. Congratulations, fam.
Now, the only way that anything makes sense, and I'll wrap up with this, the only way that anything makes sense is through the belief that you, the viewer of this video, exist. And if you take that belief away, then anything ceases to have any value or meaning.
But, how will you, the creator of the video, make them precious shekels?
Now, similarly, the only way that anything has any value or meaning is through the existence of God.
You haven't heard of money, have you?
And if you take that belief away, then absolutely everything and anything becomes completely irrelevant and meaningless.
Great! I don't have to pay for stuff then. Semi-serious answer. If my existence is contingent on a God existing, or my believing a God exists, why is it so important to try and make me, someone that doesn't exist because I don't believe in a God, believe in a God?
So you have two options.
Sweet.
You either believe that God exists, and as a result of that, of course, man would exist. Or you question your own existence.
Or I say God not real and mock you for thinking that humanity's existence is dependent on some imaginary friend creating us, guiding us, enslaving us, always watching us, and using us for his, air quotes, great plan.
Now, which one for you is more logical?
I am going to let my audience decide on that. I will leave a comment in the description. Please feel free to tell me which is more logical and how much logic you possess. Now, just before we leave, I believe I am due a final sandwich.
I will make you a kid's sandwich, peanut butter and jelly.
Here you go, Lord Omegon. 3 very different sandwiches, and now you have the tough part. You have to choose which one you like best.
And be sure to visit the Sea Knight's Craft. We have geeky toys and costumes and all kinds of interesting things for you to buy.
Oh, I think I'll let my audience pick that too. I'll leave a link to Sea Knight's Craft in the description. Please check them out, and thank you all for listening.